everyone, I'm Sam McKenna, and I'm the founder and CEO of #Sam Sales Consulting. I have been in sales basically my entire career for about 16 years and spent most of my career in corporate America, where I wrapped up my time at where else but LinkedIn, the holy grail of places for me to work until I decided to start my own business, #Sam Sales, which is an all-female team of 11 who's been in business for about 4 years now. Now, I could talk to you about LinkedIn for 100 hours. But instead, what I'm going to do today is take you through a little tour of my profile, my content, and some things that are really important for you to know as marketers. Instead of a death by PowerPoint, I thought this would be much more engaging and hopefully show you some tips and tricks that you haven't yet considered. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things. One, as a marketer, you're obviously focused on everything that you're doing from a company page, content you're promoting, et cetera. But I want to take a quick pause to talk about something that's really instrumental to the executives on your team, particularly as you give them advice around what to do with their LinkedIn profile. And the first thing that I want to talk about is what's called creator mode. Now, take a look at what I'm screen sharing here right now. If you look at this, you see this talks about, and some of you might wonder, yeah, how does that get on there, right? How this gets on there is if you go to your profile under the more section right at the top, right? If you go down here, show all 5 resources, under that section, you can add and turn on what's called creator mode. Now, creator mode gives you a couple of things, and I want to talk through just a few of those. One, it turns your profile from a auto connect, right? If you go to somebody's profile, we typically see the connect button, but instead, when you turn on creator mode, it changes it to automatically show follow instead of connect. Now, somebody can still connect with you. They just have to jump through a few more hoops. Click the little 3 dots, go down, hit connect, etc. But one really cool thing here is that even if you have follow turned on your page, you're still going to get plenty of people who want to connect with you, even people who you have absolutely no idea who they are, and they're connecting with you without context. Now, when you look at that, if you decide to decline connecting with them, really cool thing about creator mode, you'll still capture them as a follower. So turning on creator mode will automatically get you more followers, particularly if you're a higher executive, particularly if you're more senior or you're, out there a little bit more. Sometimes people are scared to connect with you, but they really want to follow you. And it lets you be a little bit more discerning with the audience that you connect with. You can decline a few additional people, still have them follow your content, and call it a day. Now, how do we put these hashtags here, and how do we decide what it is that we want to put there? So I would tell you is first, think about the broadness and the narrowness of hashtags. If you don't know much about them and they're new to you, I'm going to tell you a couple of quick things here. So if you look at these, SDR, SaaS, sales, LinkedIn tips, and entrepreneurship. I selected these because they're the things that I talk about the most, right? They're most important to the type of content that I create. But I also wanted to make sure to do my research on the hashtags and how many followers they have. So look at this. If I pop over to this other tab, right, I've got LinkedIn tips as one of the ones that I searched for. And you can see, let's go ahead and decline that. You can see that there are 23,000 followers to LinkedIn tips, right? So if I instead go here, right, and I search sales, which by the way, here's how you do that. Super, super easy. Just type in the hashtag, type in the words you're looking for, select it here, and you'll be able to see how many followers there are. So in this, I've got, I can barely count this high. I can barely count a tenth of that. 5.8 million followers, right? And you can see if I follow this hashtag, I'll see plenty of posts. The lovely Kyle Coleman here. I see Armand, lots of familiar friends. But what I'm really trying to do with these hashtags is get a super, super broad, right, availability to who I'm trying to target. And I'm also trying to look for individuals and hashtags that have more narrow markets. So in that fact, right, when I look at that, if I've got that broad and that narrow, it means I'm going to get great brand awareness, but I'm also going to target the specific people that I'm trying to get to that follow, let's say, LinkedIn tips. One more quick thing to mention about this. Take a look. One of the hashtags that I follow is SDR, right? And that I talk about. So if I look at SDR singular, check this out. 8,600 followers. If I look at hashtag SDRs with a plural, right, with an S there, 1,100 followers. So SDR is a pretty still narrow market for me, right? But I'm targeting a small, narrow targeted audience. I just want to make sure sometimes pluralizing or not a word can make a big difference in followers. So check that out. Now, when you think about what it is that you want to assign to your executives, to yourself as you post, right? Again, just make sure it's relevant to the content you post. When you do that, when you have creator mode turned on, it also means that you will likely get a 10 to 15% boost on the people that look at your content. That's huge. That's a big boost, right? Now, in using these, one of the great things you can do here is be mindful of how many hashtags you use. This is a question I get all the time. How many to use and where should they go in our posts, right? At the top, in the middle, at the bottom, doesn't matter. So first and foremost, you don't want to use more than 5 hashtags in your post. When you use more than 5 hashtags, you are signaling to LinkedIn, kind of like when we mass tag people in a post, that you don't really know who your audience is, right? So what you want to think about is what are the custom curated specific hashtags you can use in a post that really target the audience of what that post is about. It does not always need to be the ones you have in content creator mode. It can be anything, but I would advocate use 2 or 3 of these in every post, right? And make sure you pull them in and pull in that new audience. In terms of the structure, it doesn't matter. It can go in the middle and spread throughout or at the bottom. The only place I would avoid putting it is at the very top, because that very top is sacred space. You want to make sure you have a great hook, kind of like a headline to bring people in. And the hashtag definitely won't be a headline. So some quick small things there about your hashtags. Now, let's think about another thing, right? Once we've got these hashtags and we're getting broader usage, how do we get smart about pulling that audience in? Start to look profile views of yourself, start to look at the followers, the new followers you have, and more importantly, look at anybody who has liked or commented on your posts. They are a goldmine of leads or people who are starting to engage with your content. Particularly if you have executives who are posting content, as a marketer, taking time out to look at who is engaging and then say, hey, did you see that one of our top buyer personas liked your content? Or I can see it's the second time they've liked your content. So easy to start tracking that stuff, pulling it in, building spreadsheets. There's also automation platforms that'll scrape that data for you and start to look, right? And see who's liking your content. Should we connect with them? Should we engage with them? Should we try to book meetings? Phenomenal lead funnel. You just have to know where to look. More importantly, you have to get out there and start posting content. Now, speaking of content, what should we do from a company page perspective, right? Another big question we get. Should I be posting a lot on my company page? Does our company page even matter? And what I would tell you is the company page really matters. The content that you post from it doesn't matter as much. Your company page is effectively a website, right? This is a repository of what you do, products you offer, who your people are that work there, all sorts of things. And when you consider that, right, you think about what that looks like. What's really important is that you've got that fully fleshed out, you've got that built out. But what you also want to think about, right, is how do you actually capitalize? How do you make sure that the content that you post gets out there, but also gets out with your executives? So I'd say a few things. One, the content that you post, if you kind of look, right, look at a Salesforce or a DuPont of the world. When you look at them, they have millions of followers, but the engagement that they get on their content is so minimal. Why? Because people don't want to engage with a robot. They actually want to engage with individuals versus whoever runs that company page. So the most important thing that you can do, your investment of content, isn't from your company page, but rather from the executives or anyone in your organization or on your team that is willing to post content. On that quick note, before we move over to content, thinking about that, your page also should be filled with information, articles, papers, etc. that, of course, direct your audience to your website. Think about this even when you have individuals who write articles or newsletters on LinkedIn. Guess what? You only get half of it or a quarter of it. You get the tease, you get the lead at the top, right? That pulls the person in, and then it goes where? You want to read more? Come over to our website. Fantastic way to get those click-throughs, right, on any piece of content that you want to talk about. So now let's think about the posts of your executives, right? How do we get all of that content that your marketing teams, your content creators, and anybody that does content marketing at your company to be seen? The first thing that I would tell you is think about LinkedIn as a platform, not to advertise that content directly, right? The links and white papers and webinars that you're running and things like that. Think of LinkedIn as a place of repository for thought leadership. The number one thing that you want to do, right, from a thought leadership perspective, is teach people. You've got almost 900 million members here on LinkedIn, right? And when you think about those individuals, they're coming in to learn, right? They're not coming in to be told. They're not coming in to be sold. They want to learn. Over half of them come in at least once a week for a minimum of 5 minutes. Holy cannoli. That's huge, right? They're coming in not to buy your products. They want to learn. So think about all of the content that you create. One of the things that you do, right, with that is that you can take all of that content and you can change it into thought leadership. If you look at basically every post that I've written, right? So I write a lot, but if you look at every post that I've written, I'm basically teaching my audience what I know how to do really well. I'm giving them tips, I'm giving them tricks, I'm talking about SAM sales at the end of the day. I'm slyly putting things in, right? Let me show you this one post over here and give you a good example of what that looks like. But I'm slyly putting things in, right, that talks about this. So basically, this post is exactly about building executive brands, what I'm telling you right now. But take a look at this, right? I'm talking about building a brand for executives. And then I very slyly say, now you guys are going to know all our secrets. I very slyly say, if you are like the C-suite or SVPs that we work with, you oversee, I'm basically saying, this is what our audience looks like. If you look like that, here's some tips for you. I'm also saying, psst, this is who we work with. If you look like this, you should trust us with your business too. You can do this with all of the content that you write. So take that content, take all those articles, those white papers, those data sheets, those infographics, right? And create some thought leadership that truly teaches something. When you think about how to market that content and you look at a post like this that you might create, the other thing you want to consider is, so what? Did you read that post and do you understand why this is important? Did you learn something? Is there a script? Is there something that someone can walk away after reading that post and say, I know exactly what to do? And the reason that I say that is it's one of the biggest metrics of success between successful content and, believe it or not, successful presentations at conferences. What did I learn? What can I do? What's actionable from here? Is there a script? Can I write something? Did I learn something specific that I can implement right now? That's the kind of content that really performs on LinkedIn. So consider that with your audience as well. Consider that with your executives, and particularly as you build that content. Now, let's say we do want to self-promote. Let's say we want to talk about a particular webinar or conference or something that we're hosting. How do we do that in a smart way to make sure that we're getting the click-throughs, or we're also not angering the algorithm? She's pretty fickle. So one of the things you want that seems very counter is to ever avoid putting links in your post. Let me show you a quick example of that. So let's go. I'll pop down here. I think I've got a post that talked about that. Yep, here you go. So have a look at this, right? We did a webinar on what else? All things LinkedIn about a week ago. And in this, I want to put the banner, right? I want to put my shiny marketing content up there. But what I also want to do is in this, I'm going to write in the original post, I wrote, you know, where to find the details. I try to avoid words that the LinkedIn algorithm picks up on. The LinkedIn algorithm doesn't like things like website, register, subscribe, sign up. There's a bunch of other ones, but it doesn't like words like that because it signals, right? It's signaling to the algorithm, right, that I'm trying to get people off the LinkedIn platform. When you think about what LinkedIn actually cares about the most, first and foremost, it's two things: how many people come to the platform every day, and what the dwell time is, how long people stay there. So if you write a post and you say, come sign up for our webinar, read this article here, here's a link to access whatever it is we're talking about. What are you telling LinkedIn? Hey, those people that you worked so hard to get here today, we're going to take them off your page and send them to our site. And LinkedIn's going to say, oh, that's really cute. We're going to go ahead and throttle your post so nobody sees it. So you want to avoid that. Now, however, let me just show you one thing here. You're going to see, here's the link to our content. So I just said, don't put a link here, right? And now I've got it in. You'll notice that this was also edited. And after about an hour, the LinkedIn algorithm will forgive you and allow you to put the link in there. So write it like this first, right? After about an hour, kind of like your initial boost of visibility has sort of died down, if you will. And when you put the link in here, just click up here, go to edit, and then drop your link in very easily. Now, how do we advertise something like this and get it seen the minute we post? Just have somebody on your team, not the author of the post, somebody else, drop the first comment in and say, here's the link to register. As easy as that. If you want to make sure that that comment gets seen, make sure that you have a bunch of people like and engage with it. So it's effectively the top comment. LinkedIn used to have this lovely feature called pin this comment. They got rid of because people were doing exactly that. So make sure to have that happen. If you engage with that comment, it'll go straight to the top and everybody will see it. Now, the other thing to think about here, right, is how often can we actually market? If you look at this, right, my average engagement is pretty high. Let's see, I got 138 likes here, some comments and some reposts, which was really nice. But for me, I got 8,700 impressions here. It's pretty low, right? On average, I tend to get about 25 to 30,000 impressions per post. Sometimes I get hundreds of thousands, sometimes I get 8,000. But what you'll notice here is my audience tends to like my content, right? They engage with it, they love to weigh in, they love to comment, etc. Except when we think about marketing posts, right, and posts that advertise things, people don't engage with that as much. Again, just like the algorithm, our LinkedIn audience can be a little fickle as well. So it's really here to learn. So you'll always see lower engagement when you have direct marketing content, but it's still important to put that in. If you think about 80% of your content should be thought leadership, and about 20% can be self-promotional. You'll be in great shape there. Now, another thing to think about, right? Once you have this content up and you've got it running, how do we start to convert this into larger audiences? How do we start to convert this into more impressions? More importantly, how do we start to convert this into traffic back to our website? There's this beautiful thing called dark social. And if you haven't heard about it, it's something really important that as marketers, you understand and you get your arms around. Dark social is really the idea of when somebody sees something interesting, like anything that's posted, and they'll take that link and they'll drop it somewhere else. They might drop it into a Slack channel, into a community, into a board of some kind, into a group text, into a WhatsApp. You get it. It's the art of taking something off of LinkedIn, putting it somewhere else, getting that person to click through it, right, and look at it or click on the link, and you have no attribution, no visibility about where it came from. But what's really important is that your content is out there, right? Think about this. If you are not prioritizing your executives to have voices on LinkedIn and to start building their brands, what you're effectively doing is you're allowing your competition to get ahead. Your competition is either on LinkedIn and you have to catch up, or they're not, and you have a competitive advantage. It's awesome, right? But when you think about that, if your competition's on LinkedIn, if your competition's executives are posting content and you're not, what does that mean? That means that people are looking at your competition's content instead of yours. It's really important that we show up and we show up often. Now, when we're doing that, what happens? People engage with our content, they go and they, like it and comment, and our comments and our likes are filled with second and third degree connections, third being usually the most magical. Part of this really important process, it shouldn't be your executives doing this or you doing this. It should really be an administrative support staff. To be very clear, I have about 2 people on my team that help me with the administration of my LinkedIn, about 40 hours a week. It takes a lot of work. But when you do that, and to know, I probably get 200, I know I get about 200 DMs a day. So it's a lot to keep up with. But if you think about outsourcing this to an administrator, what you do is you go through those likes, second and third degrees, and you connect with them. Your audience will start to build. Anybody that comments, connect with them, it'll start to build. Anybody that's really interesting that follows you or looks at your profile, connect with them and start to build. There's all these processes that are really important, scripting and things like that we could talk about. But the main idea is you want to start there. Now, as you start to build, so do your impressions, right? The larger your audience and the more consistent you stay, right, with this platform, the more views you get and the more eventual click-throughs that you'll get as well. This is modern day SEO, if we've ever really talked about it. Take some of your spend, right, that you're already spending on your pay-per-click ads and SEO and all sorts of things, trade shows even, right, and start to repurpose it here, because you basically got a 24/7 marketing event, right, networking event, where you can go and engage with a load of people. Now, I'm going to say one more thing as a close. One really important thing here is also thinking about how we continue to capitalize on this as we're building it. And one really beautiful thing that you can do is look at your existing clients. So here's what I mean. Let's say as a marketer, right, you're working in partnership to drive more MQLs, aren't we all, right, for our sales teams. Take a few of the executives that you have, start to build their voices, and make sure that you pull a report of your existing clients. Let's say, for instance, that you have a VP of SMB sales who oversees, I don't know, he's the second line manager, oversees 50 people, 60 people, 100 people, right? And as a second line manager, all of those individuals have tons of clients. Pull a report of your CRM, right? Let's say you use something like Insightly. Pull a report from your CRM, all of those clients, all of those contacts, and then systematically have your executives connect with them. When you do that, your executive, and again, this is an administrative task, it doesn't need to be the executive doing it. You can come up with a script, everything's approved, but have somebody connect with all of those clients, which means as your executive starts to post content, your clients are going to see who that is, and they're going to continue to engage with the content, which means people that they know are going to engage with the content. And at some point, the people they know that are your prospective clients are going to say, hey, do you work with that company? Word of mouth will start, dark social will be created, and you'll get an increase in organic traffic and social traffic to your site. Now, the final thing I'm going to leave you with in talking about the power of LinkedIn is one thing that not associated with LinkedIn.com, but LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you are not at a marketing level, at a company level, tracking job changes, oh my gosh, you are missing out on such a massive opportunity. When you track job changes, why think about everybody that's engaged with your product, purchased from you before, even closed, lost, closed, canceled people who were champions for you, but just couldn't get it done, or spending freeze happened, or their boss went on, was let go, or maybe part of a RIF, and so they couldn't make the decision. In LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you have the opportunity to track this at a company level, or you can use other platforms that are out there, like Champify, for example, that allow you to scrape that data, keep tabs on them, and create a brand new stream of MQLs. Sam Sales can also help you with this, but you can do it automatically all on your own. It's very simple. But that's the one thing that I would recommend that I think every single marketer I talk to does not do in a systematic way. Pull a CRM report of the last 6 months of closed won deals. Look at all the people that are attached to those opportunities. Save them in a list in Sales Navigator and take a look. Who has changed jobs in the last 90 days? Have they changed jobs into your ICP? Are they viable leads? You can route those in your CRM, to route them directly to the rep. You can even come up with an awesome automated sequence to use to automatically reach out without the rep even having to touch it. And you will be so impressed at the amount of leads you can capture from this. On average, 6% of inbound leads are from former customers who have changed jobs. That's all reactive. Imagine what you could do as a marketer if you did this proactively, tracked it, attached yourself to it, and showed a brand new stream of MQL for $800 a year for one Sales Navigator license. I hope this has been fast and impactful. Please say hello on LinkedIn if I can ever be of help, or hopefully the content that I post will be of help to you as we continue to get to know each other. Thanks.